It's reported that Kenya is facing a food security issue with depleted maize stocks. What's your view?
Thank you very much. My view is that most of the Kenyans all depend on rain-fed agriculture. And for 2 seasons now, we've been experiencing bad weather. And we haven't had enough supplies to feed the people of Kenya. So again, Kenya normally is a net importer of maize. So Kenya has been depending also on some imports from the regional countries like Tanzania and Uganda. But last season, Uganda and Tanzania mainly experienced some shortages, so they banned exports to Kenya. And Uganda had demand for maize for southern Sudan, so not much came from Uganda. That deepened the supplies into Kenya. Right. And following the bad weather, we didn't produce enough that we consume. Therefore, there is a situation where we may not be having enough maize supplies this season.
Now, David, we're told that since last year, prices have shot up 100%. And some experts are saying it's because farmers are hoarding maize stock, trying to influence the price in this way. Is that a true reflection of the situation?
It is not a true reflection of the situation right now. The prices all reflect the supply situation, not hoarding, because most farmers in Kenya have never experienced such a high prices like this before. 100% increase, really no farmer could still hold his stock or her stock because it has been a very, very high prices, and everybody would wish that they had maize to supply. There is no hoarding, but naturally in this country, every farmer spares 1 or 2 bags of maize of 90 kilos for the family to consume rather than buying it again from the market. So there is no hoarding. It's a misconception. The situation is there isn't enough maize around the country.
Okay, how do you, as an industry player, explain the rise in price? Some people have been concerned about the maize futures market. That's the first thing. The government has come in with subsidies on basics like flour. There's a real concern that with inflation rising in Kenya, you're adding to the problem. Some
interventions are short-term. They are not well thought of. The situation, as I said again, Kenya depends on rain-fed agriculture. The situation is changing really dramatically, that you don't know whether the weather would behave well for you. At the moment, the fact is Kenya is a net importer of maize. I mean, the situation has been worse because we can't get cheap maize coming from around Africa again into Kenya that we can simply bring in. But again, as I said, the situation of prices is really activated the fact that we didn't have enough from the previous season. I think that is for sure. We didn't have enough from the previous season. And the effect mainly is also in many other seasons, we've been benefiting for the inflows, again, as I said, from other regions. It didn't come in. That is why at the moment the situation is so bad. But again, between now and July, we expect some inflows coming in from southern Rift Valley of Kenya. There is a crop that comes in July and August. So the situation may temporarily improve when we reach in July. So it's not all hope lost, because we expect to receive in some inflows of new maize coming in from South Rift of Kenya.
David, help us understand how the industry works, because there is an accusation also that farmers are selling their products in neighboring states, not in Kenya, because there the sales are cash transactions, whereas in Kenya they have to operate on a so-called warehouse receipt system where they're given promissory notes as opposed to cash, and that it's actually that kind of practice that's creating a disincentive to trade inside of Kenya.
The warehouse receipt system is a good system the way it is used, but apparently it has not developed well in Kenya. This is something that has been in the pipeline. It only works in a situation where we have stores closer to the farmers, and we have a situation where the management is understood and the management is there and it's something that's already tested. The situation in Kenya is very different, perhaps from South Africa, where the farmers are very large-scale farmers who can produce and store, and there is a warehouse receipt system. Here, 80% of the farmers are smallholder farmers, and some of them are also net buyers of the same maize. They actually produce it, sell it during the harvest period, and within 3-4 months, they demand more maize, and they are buying again from out there in the market. Perhaps the same maize that they sold earlier because there was need for money. I think that is why the situation in Kenya could be slightly different from other countries. It would be working very well in Uganda because Uganda, maize is a commercial crop. That's the difference. In South Africa, large-scale farmers. In Zambia, large-scale farmers. Right. That works well. But in Kenya, the majority of farmers and the greater percentage of grain that we receive is made of smallholder farmers who need immediate money. Okay. And we can't have storage all over in the villages that can really make the warehousing system work.
All right, David, final question. What do you propose as a compromise solution? A win-win for the small-scale farmers, but a win for the consumer that needs the maize and needs it affordably?
As far as I'm concerned, we have said this again to the government of Kenya and government else. We need to think outside the box. Kenya's policy of maize needs to be improved. At the moment, even what we get from the farmers in the country is the same maize that we use for animal feed. Our suggestion is let us import duty-free the yellow maize for animal feed, and then we release the white maize for consumption of consumers so that we can reduce the competition for white maize. That is what I can suggest can happen again. And again, as we said, it is good time to plan and think about how can we make it affordable. Mm-hmm. Long-term investments, can we think of having irrigated agriculture? Those are long-term. But immediate term, if there are duties, we are still saying we are consumers, even if we are farmers. We're suggesting that it's possible that we have duties waived for the time being so that the food can be affordable within Kenya in the short term.